The hallways are dim and the classes are empty. Straight ahead, find out why Jackson Independent Schools won't be in session for the remainder of the week.
Could air safety be in jeopardy? That's what Virginia's senators are asking weeks into a federal government shutdown.
More snow chances for Eastern Kentucky. Those details now at 5:30.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Several schools across the mountains were closed today as snow fell across the region this morning, but illnesses are also hitting some districts hard, like Jackson Independent in Breathitt County. WYMT's Will Puckett has more.
Around the mid-80s, 85% attendance.
In a school of more than just 300 students,
We're a very small school district.
attendance figures mean funding.
Anytime your attendance drops, down into those lower 80%, below 90%, you get concerned.
That's why when students came back from the MLK holiday and many of the seats were empty, a decision had to be made.
To take a couple days off, to have some separation of our kids, to get them apart.
School was canceled until Monday, offering crews a chance to do some deep cleaning.
Just a general disinfecting, wiping down desktops, all handles, door handles, railings.
As the hallways are empty, lockers go unused for the day, and custodial staff gets to work. Students get a couple days off to get better and prepare to hit the books again.
We have some flu, we have some virus.
Hopefully illness-free on Monday. In Jackson, Will Puckett, WYMT Mountain News.
Thursday, the district had NTI Day number 2. Tomorrow will simply just be a snow day. Paintsville Independent and Johnson County will also be closed tomorrow due to illnesses. You can see the latest closings at the bottom of your screen and on our website. The Floyd County Sheriff's Office wants to warn residents of a new scam. Deputies say a 1-800 number is calling people, telling them their Social Security card was stolen. They go on to say the victim will have to pay for a new card. If you receive this call or any suspicious calls, you're asked to report them to your local sheriff's office. The group of lawmakers working to solve the state's failing pension system heard from Kentucky teachers today. Right now, the state's deficit is almost large enough to fund NASA for 2 years. A plan to solve that deficit passed last year, but it prompted protests and was eventually overturned by the state Supreme Court. Lawmakers are starting over to try and find a fix. Today, the head of the Teachers Association said educators need to be part of the solution. Hillary Thornton reports.
Because we're going to have a lot of questions.
Everyone involved agreeing pension reform is a complex issue. To help lawmakers work through that, the group holding several meetings today, hearing from folks representing the education community.
The anxiety, the turmoil, the fear that has been put into my colleagues, myself, and all of us over the past 4 years over the fate of what our future holds, we feel has been unjust.
President of the Kentucky Education Association, Stephanie Winkler, explaining that they are not willing to make a deal regarding their defined benefit plans and do not want to move to Social Security plans. Although the days are limited, the co-chair of this working group saying that pension reform is something that they must make some type of progress on this session.
I certainly hope we'll make some movement. I mean, we have a crisis in terms, some people don't like to use the word crisis, but we don't have enough money to fulfill our obligations, so we have to deal with that.
Pension reform certainly has been and continues to be a hot button issue.
Disdain for educators by some doesn't help the conversation. We want to be collaborative.
Let's drop the disdain issue because we do love teachers. And I found it personally offensive that only certain members could have "we love teachers" because I love teachers.
Working to find answers for the complex issues, but also for the most part, hoping to find a way to work together. Hillary Thornton, WYMT Mountain News.
The General Assembly is currently on a break. They will gavel back into session on February 5th. For the first time, a needle exchange program is now being offered in Laurel County. The program was approved last year and began 3 weeks ago. Health officials and counselors hold office hours for the program every Thursday from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. The exchange is 1-to-1, meaning syringes can only be given to people who bring them in. But health officials say one way this program is unique is the fact that people who come in are also tested for hepatitis C and HIV and are offered hepatitis A shots for free.
When we collect those used syringes, that's also keeping them off the streets. So you can have an innocent person, you know, in the summertime out playing in the schoolyard or in the parks that can get stuck with one of these syringes and actually contact hepatitis C.
Had to go get tested.
The Laurel County Health Department is also holding a hepatitis A vaccine clinic this Saturday from 9 until noon, where they will be offering free Hep A shots to people who are underinsured or uninsured at no cost.
It's been cloudy and cold across eastern Kentucky. Temperatures have held steady in those 20s today. And as we head into tonight, clouds going to move to the east. Another system going to work in from the northwest. Let's take a look at Pinpoint Doppler. And right now, all you see is some of the highlighted flood warnings, which for us, Estill County, you have a flood warning as we head into tonight and even through the next couple of days. Notice cloud cover pushing off, those flurries and flakes moving across West Virginia. The secondary system coming from the northwest, and you can see some of that snow starting to form in portions of Indiana just north of Indianapolis, and that will have a chance to work its way down into eastern Kentucky tonight and bring what we talk about with a clipper system and that moisture from the Great Lakes. Now it's 29 in Hazard, 28 in Lexington. You bring us closer to home and it's in those mid to upper 20s. What you don't realize is the winds are still anywhere from 5 to 10, some locations 10 to 15 miles per hour. And just because we're in the 20s, when you factor in the wind, well, we already feel like the teens. So Steve, as we drop into those teens tonight, some locations could feel like the single digits at times. We'll break down when we could see a warm up and what it looks like for the next 7 days coming up in a few short minutes.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Senate lawmakers voted on a Republican plan to end the government shutdown, including $5.7 billion for President Trump's border wall. The measure failed. Then the chamber took up a continuing resolution favored by Democrats that does not include funding for the wall.
Our proposal allows us to open up the government and then after government's open, settle our differences over border security.
That also failed. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi now says she's willing to meet face-to-face with President Trump to try and break the impasse. Her comments came just hours after Mr. Trump agreed to delay his State of the Union address at the Speaker's request. The government shutdown is beginning to squeeze our nation's airports. That's according to two Virginia Democratic senators. Today, they rallied with government employees at Reagan National Airport. Our Washington Bureau's Alana Austin tells us about the impact they say it's having on safety.
More than a month into this government shutdown, Virginia senators say it's punishing federal workers. They're concerned this puts too much pressure on air traffic control, TSA, and other employees facing tremendous stress.
This is not a political game. Open the government today.
With more TSA agents calling out of work and going without pay, some worry national safety is at risk. Mike Christine, air traffic controller, says the strain creates too many distractions at an already nerve-wracking job.
The focus, it's now turned. It's starting to worry people.
Virginia Democratic Senators Mark Warner and Tim Kaine stood alongside these workers at Reagan National Airport just outside D.C. Officials here say it's getting so bad that some employees are sleeping in their cars between shifts because they can't pay for gas.
The pain that is being inflicted on millions of Americans is again disgraceful.
One frequent flyer, John Bakovich, tells us he trusts the security of the system, but fears this will eventually impact his ability to get to work.
I'm just kind of worried about getting to where I have to be on time.
The Federal Aviation Administration tells us, quote, the traveling public can be assured that our nation's airspace system is safe. A spokeswoman adds there's been no measurable increase in unexpected retirements or resignations of air traffic controllers.
And when the government does fully reopen, Warner still expects it could take several weeks for the airports to get back up to full speed. In Arlington, I'm Alana Austin.
As Democrats like Warner and Kaine blame the president for the shutdown, Republican National Committee spokesman Garen Shipley points the finger at them. In a statement, he asked why they won't back plans put forward by President Trump and GOP Senate Leader Mitch McConnell to reopen the government and fund more border security. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, restaurant workers are among a quarter of U.S. jobs threatened by a robot takeover. We'll have the latest on a new study. And thousands of truckers are about to get a raise. We'll tell you where. Our Money Watch report.